What's up, guys? Gavin Soup here, and today I'm really just going to be reviewing a bunch of movies that I wanted to review, but I've never done it because I just didn't want to be. I guess I just didn't want to be the YouTuber that would review movies, but now I kind of want to just get my thoughts on these movies. Um, just speak my opinion and whatever and whatnot because I just really like these movies and I think they deserve reviews. So this is going to include 2022 movies that I've seen, 2021, and maybe one from 2020 that I saw that I really liked. But yeah, so we're just gonna start off with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, newest movie I've seen. Saw it a few weeks ago. Basically, I think this movie was really underrated. I mean, I kind of understand where the negativity's coming from. I mean, they did kind of waste the Illuminati, but I loved how they just built on Steven's character a little more from like his past with Christine. And also the fact that they brought Mordo back as a villain, because we did see in one of the post-credit scenes in Doctor Strange that he was gonna become a villain, and that was so long ago, but they remembered to add that in. And of course, Scarlet Witch as a villain is just great, spot on. Um, and I think the whole multiversal thing. I mean, I feel like they could have explored different universes like a little more. There was one scene where they were just going through a bunch of them just for a few seconds. There was only a few where we got to see like full scenes of, but I still think it was solid. And it was just a really fun ride. I mean, it was pretty much like a horror movie too. And that aspect too, that was really weird. I mean, it was really weird how they made the whole like zombie Doctor Strange that like he was like possessing the Doctor Strange. It was kind of weird, but I also thought it was just really creative too. And I think Sam Raimi did a great job directing this. America Chavez, I mean, I guess that yeah, she's a cool character. I guess. I mean, I do think it's really cool that they gave her the power to just be able to go from universe to universe. I mean, that's really epic. But I feel like there was something holding her character back. But as for Strange himself, I okay, this is actually gonna be kind of hard. I feel like there's there's something about him like he grew as a character, but I honestly feel like he didn't really um he didn't grow like he didn't like get more powerful with his powers. I feel like, but his character there was a lot of development with his character. And as for the Illuminati, I thought that was really cool. Hopefully they bring them back in some way, shape, or form. I loved the Reed Richards cameo. John Krasinski. They chose the right guy. They knew what people wanted, so they got John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, which I just loved. Professor X kind of wasted since he got killed by Wanda. All of them were, but hopefully they'll bring him back. I think this was just kind of a teaser to show that they will be in the MCU soon. And as for the other members, I mean, they were okay. I like that they put Captain Carter in this. I think it was really cool seeing Captain Carter in live action. Black Bolt was cool. I mean, I honestly don't have much to say about all the other Illuminati members, though, unfortunately. But I mean, I thought they were cool, even though they were kind of wasted. But anyway, let's go on to the next movie. So yeah, I mean, definitely not in order by genre or anything. but we're just kind of going back in time from like when I saw these movies and everything. So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Um, what do I have to say about this one? It was a huge step up from the first one. I liked how Sonic was he was definitely developing as a character, being a lot more mature. Um, the Chaos Emeralds, so glad they introduced those, along with Knuckles, of course. This definitely matches a lot to the second game, especially with the Death Egg robot at the end. I honestly did think at first that it was going to be kind of confusing. Like I thought that Tails or Knuckles, like one of them would be less developed than the other, since both of them were being introduced at the same time. So I thought they would kind of like interfere with each other's character development, but they actually nailed each of theirs. Like I was thinking that Tails was going to be the one that was going to be kind of ignored, but I mean no, he had a lot of development, I think. And that scene, like that, I don't know if it was a bar or what, in Siberia, I think it was, yeah, where there was that whole dance scene. That was really, that was kind of out of place with the whole movie, but I mean, I kind of understand why they put it in there, because it's kind of a kid's movie. And they need to do something. And I also like they introduced GUN. I thought that was really cool. I actually didn't know who they were until this movie came out. I don't actually, yeah, I don't think they were in the second game though, because I've played the second game, and I'm still playing it though, so I guess I just haven't gotten to that part. But I feel like they were introduced later. Is what I heard, I think. But oh yeah, and we obviously have to talk about Jim Carrey as Robotnik. I feel like he just went full on Eggman in this movie. Big step up from the first movie. I mean, the first movie I feel like he didn't look enough like Robotnik. I mean, he had the red suit and the mustache and everything, but they decided to go all out with no hair and just yeah, how do I say it? Just mega mustache. I'm sorry, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Idris Elba does a great job as Knuckles, by the way. Voice acting spot on, honestly. Love how they got the Tails voice actress from the games too. As for the human characters, they did a really good job with them. You know, typically in movies like this where it's based on something that's not human, and then they put human characters in it, like original to them, it doesn't always do well, but here it actually does really well. And I like that they were able to pull that off. There was just a lot of development. Them being like, Tom and, what's her name? Amy? Amy? No, not Amy. Gosh, no. Whatever. Tom and his wife. I loved how they were like parents to Sonic, kind of. I mean, it was kind of weird at first, but then I learned, I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, I thought this one was also good. Definitely not that serious, but it was good. Alright, on to the next one. The Batman. Yeah, that was quite the shift. So, I thought that this movie... There's a lot to this movie. I'd say Pattinson, I don't care what anyone says, alright? I don't care. Pattinson is my third favorite Batman. Okay? Right behind Affleck and Keaton. I feel like his character went into depth a lot. And I thought Riddler was just totally insane, and I loved it. I loved that they just made him totally insane. Penguin, as a secondary villain in this movie, he did good. They didn't totally ignore him. He has his time to shine, even though he's not the main villain in this movie. Catwoman. very Catwoman-like in this movie, just more of Selena Kyle. But I'm actually glad that they did that, I think. It was kind of disappointing that we didn't get to see her as Catwoman, but at the same time, it was also just good that they... Okay, so here's the thing. What was good about it is it kind of made her look like she wasn't such a bad guy. Bad thing about it, it made her look a little too innocent. Like, she's right in the middle. But I don't know. It was kind of weird, but I still liked her character in this. And as for the other characters like Alfred and Commissioner Gordon, I think Commissioner Gordon is... I don't think he was necessarily as good as the one in the Dark Knight trilogy, but... Well, here's the thing about that. We still haven't seen all of him. Like, there is going to be The Batman 2. So, he might get more time to shine. But I still don't feel like he's lived up to the Dark Knight one. But I think he definitely makes a good impression. Because he's just about the only good Commissioner Gordon we've had since, besides that one. I mean, there is the one in the DCEU, and I think that one's good too. He just hasn't really had that much time to shine, honestly. He was, I'm pretty sure the only two movies he was in was Justice League and the Snyder Cut, which, honestly, I mean, there was so much going on with that. Like, you can understand why he wasn't in the movie that much. And he might even... I mean, it's J.K. Simmons, so I don't know how good he would do as... He hasn't made much of an impression. But anyway, let's forget about him. We're talking about the Batman. Yeah, I just feel like he's almost lived up to the Dark Knight trilogy's Commissioner Gordon, but just not quite. But... just give it a little while. Let's, just see more of him. And he might be able to do it for us. As for Alfred, we got a lot less Alfred than I thought we were going to get. But, I mean... that's... I understand why they did that. It was just a movie where kind of explored more other things besides Alfred. But for the scenes that Alfred is in, he's definitely a good father figure to Bruce. And I feel like there were certain aspects about him that we didn't get to see before that we saw here, and I'm glad they did that. But I also feel like with him, he's not the best Alfred. But he did good when he was there. And so, what are my complaints about this movie? Okay. I mean, this is sort of a complaint, but I would prefer the comic accurate looks of Riddler and Penguin. Even though in this movie, they look more realistic, with Penguin looking more like a mob boss, and Riddler looking like the Zodiac Killer, which was apparently that's what he was based off of. This version of Riddler was based off of. But at the same time, this looks nothing like Riddler from the comics. I mean, you can kind of tell that's him because of the question mark, but it really doesn't look anything like him. But, overall, this movie was pretty good. I loved the Batsuit. The Batmobile was actually... At first, I hated it, honestly. It just looks nothing like a Bat. It's just a sports car. But, it's grown on me, and I think it makes a lot more sense. So, going on to the next movie. Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah, this one was huge for me, honestly. Wow. So, Gosh, what do I say about this movie? It was a fun ride. Definitely best Spider-Man movie ever. Okay, honestly, so I have to get this out there though. A lot of people will say it's just like the best Marvel movie ever. I don't think that. I still think I still think Endgame's the best one. But this is the best Spider-Man movie for me. And the villains, spot on. I'm so glad they brought all of them back. Except I was expecting Venom. They didn't put Venom in this. I wish they did that. That's probably two complaints with the villains. One, no Venom. Two, is that Lizard and Sandman were kind of just cast aside. I mean, they were still there. And they got a few times to shine, kind of. But they were just kind of overshadowed by Goblin, Octopus, and Electro. Doc Ock and Electro. And, I mean, I'm so glad they brought back Willem Dafoe. He did a great job. As for Tom Spider-Man, he definitely had, like, redemption. Them killing off Aunt May was kind of... how should I say it? I did not expect that at all. But I understand why they did that. And it, like... Tom was able to, cope with Andrew and Toby. And speaking of Andrew and Toby, so glad they brought them back. It was just a love letter to all the fans. Basically, this movie was great. It was really great. Doctor Strange, I mean, he's there, and he's there to help Peter. He doesn't have much development or anything, but he definitely gets time to shine. And, I mean, he's kind of responsible for all the fan service in the movie, so thank him for that with the whole multiverse thing he did in this movie. And, I mean, as for Peter's friends or whatever, this was their biggest time. Gosh, why can I? MJ and Ned. They get more time to shine in this movie than they did in the other ones. And they're really just there for Peter when he needs them. And I love the way that they introduced the villains in this movie. Like, just the way you see Doc Ock. It was just perfect the way they did it. And perfect the way, like, it shows you how good Peter is when he decides he wants to help them. Like, he's going to send them back, but try to give him a second chance, because he understands that not all these villains, like, they weren't necessarily evil. They were just broken. He wanted to fix them. Then they eventually turn against him, though. And obviously, yeah, that happened. But then he was able to, just kind of relate to Toby and Andrew's versions of Spider-Man. And he was just able to build himself back up because of them. And I just loved how they did it. And, even they got some redemptions themselves, with Andrew saving MJ. And Toby, just kind of... Okay, I'll be honest. I feel like Toby didn't do that much, but he was there. Okay, he didn't get any kind of redemption, but he was there for both the other Peters, and I liked how they did that, and he was able to relate to them. And the whole thing where, like, everyone forgot Peter Parker was Spider-Man, honestly, it was one of those things where it felt kind of like Infinity War, where all the heroes failed. I mean, sure, like, he saved everyone, but, like, nobody knows who he is now. And I'm sure he will know people eventually in the next movie, because apparently they're making 3 other Spider-Man movies after this. But it was kind of sad, but they did that. So then, he just feels more important now because of that. Like, before Far From Home, I feel like, honestly, Spider-Man wasn't that big of a character in the MCU. Like, he didn't seem that important. He was just there whenever the Avengers needed him. Like, in Civil War, when he first appeared, I mean, I didn't think he was going to play that big of a role in the MCU, but eventually, like, we saw here that he did. And soon I think he's about to just be like the biggest character in the MCU now that Tony's gone. But I mean, I thought it was good. Like, not many complaints about this movie. Not many. It was pretty solid. Godzilla versus Kong. Yeah, so honestly, this is way different than the last one we talked about, obviously. And they at first I thought this was going to be my favorite MonsterVerse movie, but honestly, I can't really say that it is. I mean, I don't really have a favorite now. First it was King of the Monsters, now I just don't really have one. Because I thought one was going to be my favorite, and there's things about it that's better than King of the Monsters, but at the same time, it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it was good. It was really good. But, like, honestly, it feels like Godzilla isn't there enough. It feels like they cast him aside a lot in this movie. Then they just make it a Kong movie when it's literally called Godzilla versus Kong. Like, Godzilla is the first word before Kong. It's not Kong versus Godzilla, it's Godzilla versus Kong. So it was just weird the way the name was. Mecha Godzilla. That was good. That was good. Yeah. I feel like he could have had more screen time, but the spots that he was in, it wasn't very disappointing. The whole Hollow Earth thing, it was really cool. I mean, it happened all kind of fast. Like, just not like them getting down there or whatever, but like, I expected the Hollow Earth to be introduced in like later MonsterVerse films, but I mean, it was good. And it was something that I didn't exactly like. I wasn't hyping for in the last few movies to see, but I mean, it was a cool addition. And I mean, the fight scenes were pretty solid. I just really, it's just my only complaint about this movie, but it just, because of how big it is, it's hard to ignore, which is that Godzilla is just not in it that much, honestly. Like, I feel like they just pay way too much attention to Kong. And I mean, the human characters, but okay, I will say this though, like, this is probably one of the really good things about this movie. The human characters, this is the best they've been in the MonsterVerse, I'd say. Obviously, there's a few from the last movie, and they get to shine more in this one, as well as, like, you know, the human characters are actually, like, influencing the monsters. Like, with Gia, she can actually, like, communicate with Kong. Like, I'm really glad they did that, because, you know, back in the Showa era with Godzilla, the human characters were just like, no, no, just no. But I mean, here they actually have arcs, sorta. And obviously there is a, you know, human villain again, which, I mean, they're not bad to have or anything. They just seem like, it's a lot like the last one, I feel like. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this movie. It was good, but the big problem with it made it hard to watch, sorta, yeah. Okay, so I forgot to include this one. This one was supposed to come before Godzilla vs. Kong, but whatever, because I kind of forgot about it, because it's a lot different than the other movies on this list, but whatever. Let's just do it. The Tomorrow War. This was actually a movie that I watched, and I wasn't really expecting to, you know, like it that much, but honestly, I gotta say, it's one of my favorite action movies now. And it's not even theatrical, it's just a Prime Video original. But I mean, it's honestly just like really, really good. like, and for what it is, it's just totally original, really. So basically, if you haven't seen this, the plot is, um, so it takes place in the beginning of it takes place in December 2022, so in the future, technically, during Christmas or whatever, and these people from the future, I'm pretty sure it's 2051, I think, yeah, they come from the future and tell everyone that there's a war going on between the humans and aliens. So they're saying, there's not enough of us left. We need you to come to the future to help fight in this war, or the world's gonna end, basically. And Chris Pratt. Okay, so basically, a year after that was like announced that when the people from the future came to that time, Chris Pratt gets drafted to that war, and that's where he meets his daughter. Like in the future, she's all grown up, and she's like one of the leaders or whatever. Yeah. I'm trying to explain it the best I can. But anyway, the aliens in this movie, they're just like, uh, they're a lot like xenomorphs. They're basically just wild animals, and I'm surprised that they kind of went with that. Like, how did they even get there? But like, eventually, what happens is it looks like they've just totally lost in the war because so many people that had been drafted had just died. Like, I think it was like, yeah, 30, only like 30% of draftees return. Um, yeah, so that was crazy to see. But then they come back and then they thought like, oh, well, what if the monsters didn't? What if they got there like way earlier than when the war started? Yeah, right. So the Chris Pratt's character decides to get a bunch of people that fought in this war that survived, and they find that like there was like this alien spaceship that landed somewhere like around like Russia or China in the mountains. They go to find it, and then they just kill off all the um, white spikes, which is what the aliens are called. They just kill them all off and just stop the Tomorrow War from ever happening. And I mean, it's really cool. You should check it out. I mean, it might not sound that interesting to you after I've just explained it, but like once you watch it, I think you'll like it. It did not get a good rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but I mean, you can never trust critics these days with anything, um, honestly. But um, what I liked about this one is there's even a storyline that's like apparently Chris Pratt's character like dies only like a few years in the future, like after when he's drafted or whatever. Because he just in his daughter complained about it seemed like he just wasn't happy with his life, so he feels like he has to change that. And I'm glad they just kind of put that in there to show like you always want to be there for your family or whatever. And the characters that were like introduced, like the draftees or other draftees or whatever, I feel like they got some good background. Like even with what's his name, Dorian, yeah, because he had apparently survived all the waves or whatever, people like going to the future, and as well as gosh, I forgot the other dude's name. He was like a scientist or whatever, like marine biologist. Yeah, I liked his story arc too. But I mean, yeah, it was just a really fun ride, I'd say. But yeah. Okay, so I almost forgot to include this one. But here's the Snyder Cut. I know this movie. Okay, so it was really good, honestly, but I just have to get this out there. Just ignore the elephant in the room. This movie, I feel like, is a little controversial now because it has Amber Heard and Ezra Miller in it. And if you've been following the situation with, okay, I bet you've probably heard you've all probably heard the situation with Amber Heard, Johnny Depp. Good news. Yesterday, yeah, if you didn't hear yet, like this just happened, but he won. He won the case. So if you guys were hoping for that, you got it. But yeah, but she's in this movie as Mira. She's only in it for like 2 scenes, but it's kind of hard to watch her. It's kind of hard to watch, not necessarily this movie, but the Aquaman movie now. I haven't seen it since that whole case happened, but when I rewatch it, it might be hard. But the thing Ezra Miller did, he's just been getting into a lot of trouble in Hawaii. Like making death threats to people and stuff like that, just going insane. Like, I don't know what's wrong with this dude, but he's been arrested like a few times already, and I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers, I don't know if they've exactly done it, but I'm pretty sure they fired him from the Flash movie, and it's just getting like so out of hand. Like, the Flash movie got delayed again for like the 10th time. Like, nobody has hope for that movie anymore, and it's kind of sad, honestly. And then, like, the DC as a whole is just like, it's like cursed or something, honestly. But I mean, but this movie, let's finally get to this movie. This was really good, okay? For years, ever since the original theatrical cut of Justice League, people had wanted this, and we got it. And it's my favorite DC movie. Because you just get all this character development that you feel like you've never seen on the big screen with Flash, Cyborg, because they were just so ignored in the theatrical cut, and I mean, with also Aquaman as well. Even though I feel like he doesn't get as much time to shine as those two, but I mean, it's because we did get his own movie, and that was pretty solid. And I mean, but the main Trinity or whatever, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, they still get their time to shine. Obviously, Superman comes in later in the film, just like the theatrical cut, but it's way better than the theatrical cut. He gets way more time to fight Steppenwolf, and, you know, they show the scene of him getting his new suit, and I'm so glad they used that suit in this movie. Like, Zack knew exactly what he was doing with this movie. The action scenes were way better. The music, I mean, the music was good. There was, my one complaint, there was a few and this is what a lot of people complain about. There was a lot of slow motion scenes where, like, they were kind of unnecessary, and the movie didn't have to be that long. Like, the whole reason why the movie was long was kind of because of those. And, I mean, that was kind of weird. But, I mean, yeah, it was, all around, it was pretty cool. My only complaint is that this isn't much of a complaint. This is just kind of me overthinking things. When I first saw the trailer for the Snyder Cut, and I saw Darkseid, I was thinking, oh my, so they're gonna fight Darkseid. Like, Darkseid is actually gonna be the main villain in this movie, along with Steppenwolf. But it was more of them just kind of teasing him, and everyone says that, like, the Snyder Cut is done now. We're never gonna see that, but I think there's still hope for it. I heard that the Flash movie is actually going to be connected to the Snyder Cut. It'll be a part of the Snyderverse or whatever. And hopefully it will just lead into the next Justice League movies. And this whole story of, like, Batman bringing them together, that works. I feel like it works here. Honestly. Like, a lot of people were apparently complaining about that with the theatrical cut, but here it actually works. Sorry, excuse me. And Wonder Woman, I mean, the scene she's in, I mean, they want you to know that she's the main center of attention. Because, I mean, she's quite she's quite the superhero. No, but no, it would just feel like she had her own, like, song or whatever, like the singing or whatever every time she was there, which I thought was cool. It was just kind of weird how they had that for her, but, like, not exactly everyone else. But I mean, it was still cool. The scene, the Speed Force scene, Oh my gosh. Just, that was, I never thought we were going to see a version like that of The Flash, but we got it, and it was so good. I mean, like, yeah, wow. It was really good. Um, so yeah, that's all I have to say about that movie, I think. Favorite DC movie. Favorite DC movie. Oh, wait, one more thing. The only thing I wish was in this movie was Green Lantern. I don't really care if it was Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart, just one of those. But we never got it, unfortunately. We did get the cameo of the alien Green Lantern in the scene where Steppenwolf was fighting all those. When he came to Earth for the first time, we saw all those teams or whatever. And there was that Green Lantern. I mean, I'm glad they put that in, but they still didn't put in the Green Lantern I wanted. Then they put in Martian Manhunter, and I mean, that was good fan service, but I don't like Martian Manhunter as much as I like Green Lantern. Like, I just feel like he was the one person missing from this movie. Like, I feel like the definitive version of the Justice League is all these guys that were in the movie, but then also Green Lantern with them. Just basically Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, Cyborg. All of them. And you just got the definitive version of the Justice League. Fortunately, we didn't get to see that. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about this movie. That movie, I think. Gosh, wow, 36 minutes. Okay, so this is the one 2020 movie that's on here, and this is the last one I'm going to do. My gosh, this video has been way too long. Anyway, yeah, so Sonic the Hedgehog. Wow, this movie has a whole story that involves the trailer and the internet and everything. So, when the trailer for the movie was released, we got the original design of this Sonic for this movie. Ugly Sonic, as you might know him today from the Chip and Dale movie. It was just a big story, like, and then they decided to redesign it because they just saw that everyone hated it, which was the best decision that Paramount could ever make, right? Yeah. So anyway, we got this new Sonic, which just looks epic, with Jim Carrey as Robotnik, which was a great idea, and they were the only two characters in it from the video game, but they still managed to make it a great, fun movie. It wasn't exactly that serious or anything, but it was fun. And I'm just not gonna say that much about it, but yeah. That's all I have for that one. I had to speed around it. So anyway, if you like this video, just leave a like down, subscribe, comment if you can. It's really glad. If you guys haven't seen any of these movies, go see them. I'm sorry if I spoiled them for you, but I guess I'll just put a spoiler alert in the title to make sure you don't. So yeah. Anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.